Tonight I discover my wife's secret, and it shatters the comfortable illusion I called my life. It's late, past midnight, when I stumble upon the first clue. I'm sitting on the couch in our quiet living room, grading a stack of my students' essays. My wife, Dr. Emily Foster, went to bed earlier, or so I thought. A buzz on the coffee table startles me. Her phone, lighting up with a notification. Usually, I respect her privacy, but something about the hour and the way the screen glows unnerves me. I lean forward and glance at the message preview. I can't stop thinking about tonight. Miss you already. For a second, my brain can't process it. My heart drums in my ears. The message is from Mark R., a name I recognize. Mark is a senior professor in Emily's department, an esteemed researcher and a friend. I stare, frozen, as another text blinks into view. Same time next week? Love you. A cold weight sinks into my stomach. My hand trembles. I know I shouldn't, but I pick up her phone with a racing heart. The device unlocks easily. Emily trusts me enough not to use a complicated passcode. I should stop, I think. I shouldn't invade her privacy. But the trust between us is already broken, cracked by those glowing words on the screen. I swipe and open the messaging app. The full exchange floods my vision. Mark, tonight was incredible. You amaze me. Emily, I wish we didn't have to leave the hotel. Miss you already. Mark, same time next week. Love you. Emily, love you too. That last line, love you too, burns into my eyes. I feel like I've been punched in the gut. My throat tightens and a hot flush crawls up my neck. In the silent darkness, I read the words over and over, disbelief quickly curdling into heartbreak and anger. My wife is having an affair. The shock is so intense I forget to breathe. Emily, my partner of 10 years, my brilliant, loving wife, a respected professor, cheating on me? With Mark Raines, of all people, Mark, the chemistry department chair who gave a toast at our last anniversary party. Mark, whom I played racquetball with on Saturdays. Mark, who sat at our dinner table just a month ago, laughing with us. My vision blurs. I blink rapidly, realizing my eyes are wet. I struggle to contain the surge of emotions, betrayal, hurt, rage swirling chaotically inside me. Stay calm, I command myself, as if trying to tame a wild animal. My hands clutch her phone so tightly my knuckles are white. For one reckless moment, I imagine hurling it across the room, shattering it like my trust. I can almost hear the crash, see the pieces scattering. But I don't. I won't. In the stillness, I force myself to inhale slowly. The air feels thin, like I can't get enough oxygen. I stand and pace the rug to release the trembling in my legs. The house is dim except for a single lamp over my papers. Everything looks the same as it did minutes ago. The bookshelf full of research texts we both collected. The wedding photo on the mantel showing us beaming in happier times. The gentle glow of the thermostat on the wall. Yet everything is different now. That normalcy mocks me. How long has this deception been hiding beneath our ordinary life? Upstairs, I hear a creak, the soft sound of floorboards in our bedroom. My heart leaps into my throat. Emily might be awake. Did she realize her phone isn't beside her? Panic floods me. If she comes down and sees me with it, what do I say? I quickly tap the phone to darken the screen and gently set it back on the table. My chest heaves as I sink silently into the couch cushions, pretending to be engrossed in the essays. Footsteps approach the staircase. I hastily wipe my eyes with the back of my hand, erasing any sign of tears. Emily's voice floats down, groggy and gentle. "Daniel, are you still up?" I swallow hard. My mouth feels full of cotton. Yeah, I manage, surprised at how normal I sound. Just finishing grading. What are you doing awake? She appears at the foot of the stairs in her nightshirt, hair mussed from sleep, looking so innocent that a fresh stab of pain nearly doubles me over. I want to scream, "How could you?" but I clamp my jaw shut. I thought I heard something, she says softly. Her eyes flick to the coffee table. Her phone lies exactly where it was. She doesn't seem to suspect anything. I force myself to meet her gaze, praying she can't see the hurt boiling behind mine. Sorry, I dropped one of the books, I lie smoothly, lifting a hefty textbook to show her. Didn't mean to wake you. She gives a small, sleepy smile and steps closer. I tense, bracing myself. To my surprise, she leans down and kisses my forehead. Her lips are warm and familiar, and for an instant I want to melt into that comfort and pretend none of this is real. But the memory of love you too sears through my mind. I go rigid. You should come to bed soon, Emily whispers. It's late. There's genuine affection in her tone, or at least I think there is. How much of our life has been a lie? I will, I reply softly, my voice somehow steady. In a few minutes. She strokes my shoulder, and I have to fight not to flinch. Don't work too hard, Danny, she murmurs, using my nickname tenderly. Good night, love. With that, she turns and pads back upstairs, oblivious to the hurricane she's unleashed inside me. I remain on the couch, listening as the bedroom door clicks shut. As soon as she's gone, a choked gasp escapes my throat. I press a fist to my mouth, squeezing my eyes shut in agony. My wife's sweet goodnight and the lingering warmth of her kiss feel like the cruelest betrayal. My chest feels splintered open. I want to rage, to sob, to storm up those stairs and demand answers. Why, Emily? How could you do this to us? Images flash in my mind unbidden. Emily entwined with Mark in some hotel room tonight. Her hands on him. His mouth on hers. The thought makes me want to retch. My stomach clenches and I double over, silent tears dripping onto the papers in my lap. Minutes pass, or maybe hours. I lose track. Eventually, the wave of despair recedes enough for reason to catch hold. Through the haze of hurt, a colder voice speaks. Don't let them get away with this. I scrub my face and inhale deeply, raggedly. A spark of resolve ignites. Yes, Emily betrayed me. Mark betrayed me. But I won't be a passive victim. I won't confront her now in a burst of anger and give her the chance to lie or destroy evidence. I've seen colleagues go through messy divorces. I know impulsive reactions often lead to regret. If I explode tonight, she'll just deny everything or twist the narrative. No. I need to be smart. I need proof and a plan. The shock is gradually hardening into something else, something steely and cold growing in the pit of my heart. Restraint, strategy. If this is the path she's chosen, I'll make sure it leads her straight to ruin. My hands are steadier now as I gather the scattered essays. I take one last look at the innocent-seeming phone on the table. Inside that device lives a trove of secrets, I realize. I've only glimpsed a fragment. There must be more. Emails, photos, call logs. My mind races with possibilities, each more painful than the last. But knowledge is power, and I will arm myself with everything I can find. I click off the lamp. Darkness envelops the room. I stand there for a long moment, breathing slowly until my pulse calms. Above me, the faint outline of our bedroom door is visible. Emily is just beyond it, likely already asleep again, dreaming peacefully while my own dreams have been dismantled. Not yet, I tell myself. Don't confront her yet. A confrontation now would satisfy my anger for an instant, but it would be catastrophic in the long run. If I wake her and unleash my fury, I might lose the only advantage I have, the element of surprise. Instead, I will gather my strength and my evidence. I will hide my heartbreak behind a mask of normalcy until the time is right to strike. I quietly ascend the stairs, each step measured and soft. When I slip back into our bedroom, the only illumination is the pale blue nightlight in the corner. Emily's form is a gentle curve under the blankets. I can hear the soft rhythm of her breathing. It used to comfort me on restless nights. Now it feels like a deceitful lullaby. I slide into bed beside her as I have for years. The mattress shifts and she subconsciously murmurs something, half asleep. Her hand reaches out and finds mine under the sheets, fingers interlacing with a familiarity that breaks my heart all over again. I lie stiffly, unsure whether to pull away or cling to this last shred of closeness. In the end, I squeeze her hand, just once, quietly, as if saying goodbye to something. She sighs contentedly and nuzzles closer. Tears prick my eyes in the darkness, but I will them not to fall. Be still, be silent. I stare up at the ceiling, wide awake and wounded, until I see the first hint of dawn's light peeking through the curtains. By morning, I have resolved on my course. My emotions must be shackled and contained. From this moment on, I will show Emily nothing but a loving husband's face. Inside, I will be watching, waiting, calculating. She won't know what's coming. As the gray light of daybreak spreads across our bedroom walls, I finally allow my eyes to close for a moment. I turn my head to look at my wife one more time. She appears peaceful, as if nothing is amiss. How many mornings have I woken to that lovely face with a heart full of love? I swallow the bitterness rising in my throat. That part of my life, of our marriage, is over now. Emily just doesn't know it yet. I take a slow breath, bracing myself for the role I must play. If I am to get the justice I crave, I'll need to pretend a little longer. I will gather every scrap of proof, plan every step meticulously, and when the moment is right, I will ambush her with the truth of what she's done. Next to me, Emily stirs, oblivious. I gently slip out of bed before she fully wakes, determined and eerily calm. My heart may be broken, but my resolve has never been stronger. This is far from over. In fact, it's only just beginning. The morning after my discovery, I begin the careful work of collecting proof. My head throbs from a night without sleep, but I play my part as the devoted husband. Over breakfast in our sunlit kitchen, I pour Emily a cup of coffee, just as I've done countless times. My hands feel almost numb, yet I force a steady smile when she peeks over the rim of her mug to thank me. "Big day on campus?" I ask casually, sliding into the chair across from her. My voice sounds normal, even cheerful. Inside, I'm coiled tight. This innocuous small talk is a minefield. One wrong step could betray me. Emily blows on her coffee. Just the usual. Meetings, office hours. She pauses to nibble a piece of toast. I notice she doesn't mention seeing Mark, even though it's a Friday and they usually co-host a study group together. Perhaps after last night's rendezvous, they plan to keep a low profile. Or she's deliberately avoiding his name. My stomach churns at the thought, but outwardly I nod and reach for the newspaper, feigning interest in the headlines. I know I won't stomach this charade for long, but every moment I keep calm is another moment she underestimates me. So I ask about an upcoming faculty workshop. I compliment her blouse. I even manage a light joke about the weak coffee in the faculty lounge. Emily laughs softly, the sound so familiar it hurts. Meanwhile, my mind is elsewhere, plotting the steps of my investigation. After breakfast, Emily gathers her satchel and heads out the door. I lean in and kiss her cheek before she leaves. It takes all my willpower not to recoil. As she backs the car out of the driveway, she gives me a little wave. I wave back from the porch, maintaining the facade until her car disappears around the corner. The second she's gone, my smile collapses. I feel a tremor in my hand and clench it into a fist. It's time to get to work. I hurry inside and grab my phone, dialing a number from memory. It's early, but I know he'll be awake. "Hey, it's Dan," I say when my friend picks up. "I need a favor, today if possible." Within 2 hours, I'm tucked away in a back room of the computer science building with my colleague and friend Brian. He's tech-savvy and owes me a favor from years back. Now I'm calling it in. In low tones, I explain what I need. Help accessing some of Emily's digital data, text messages, emails, anything. Brian's eyes widen as he absorbs what I'm implying. He doesn't press for lurid details. He simply nods and sets to work. I hand him Emily's phone, which I deftly secured from her purse after she left. Knowing she'll be busy on campus all morning, I have a couple of hours to safely probe. Brian connects the phone to his laptop. As lines of code scroll by, I pace the tiny office. Every second feels like an hour. I keep imagining Emily suddenly realizing her phone is missing and rushing back, or some other unforeseen disaster. But the door stays closed and locked. The only sounds are Brian's quiet taps on the keyboard, and my own heartbeat thudding in my ears. "All right," he says after some tense minutes. "I'm in. Good thing she hasn't changed her passcode in ages." He gives me a brief, wry smile. Emily and I shared that code years ago for convenience, now that trust is paying dividends in an unexpected way. I exhale, not realizing I was holding my breath. "Can you see the texts?" My voice cracks slightly. Brian's expression hardens as he navigates some software. "Give me a sec. Here we go." He angles the screen so I can see. There, in a column of recovered message logs, are the damning texts from Mark. They appear just as I saw last night, preserved in the phone's memory. Brian goes further, pulling up older messages archived in cloud backups. As he scrolls, my stomach drops. The affair traces back months. I skim through conversations between Emily and Mark dating to late summer. Flirtatious notes about missing each other after departmental meetings. Arrangements to meet at conferences. Even mundane banter laced with pet names. One message from August stands out. "I told him I'm at a late meeting. Can't wait to see you at the usual place." The timestamp is a night I distinctly remember her coming home late, blaming a last-minute curriculum review. My hands shake as I read her lies laid bare. "There's more," Brian murmurs. He clicks on an audio file attachment in one thread. Immediately, the tiny speaker plays a few seconds of muffled laughter. Emily's voice, unmistakable, and a man's voice murmuring something affectionate. Brian grimaces and stops the playback. "Sorry, I thought it might be important." A wave of nausea hits me, but I swallow it down. "No, it's good. I need to know everything." The sound of her intimacy with Mark is like a blade twisting in my gut, but it steels my resolve. Brian continues working. He helps me explore her email next. Sure enough, among routine university memos and newsletters are clandestine notes from a personal Gmail account I didn't even know Emily had. They're careful, no explicit subject lines, but one thread with Mark titled "Conference Itinerary" contains attachments. I have him open them. It's a receipt for a hotel booking. 1 king bed, 2 guests, for a weekend in Chicago. Emily told me she went alone to a symposium in Chicago last fall. She even brought me back a souvenir mug. My jaw clenches so hard it hurts. We dig up evidence of financial entanglement as well. Her cloud-stored photos reveal a picture of a fancy dinner bill she snapped for reimbursement, likely from a professional trip. 2 entrees, 2 desserts, expensive champagne. I remember that trip too. She said she dined with a colleague. She didn't mention it was Mark. There's even an email confirming flights to Paris for an academic conference last spring, where Mark was listed as a co-attendee. I financed part of that trip from our joint account under the guise of supporting her career. As Brian works, I quietly forward the most incriminating emails to my own account and save copies of everything onto a flash drive. Deleted messages, too. Brian manages to retrieve fragments of texts Emily thought she erased. He suspects nothing, one read. I feel so guilty lying to him, but I can't stop, read another. That one nearly brings tears to my eyes again, but I blink them away. There's also a line from Mark. Maybe someday we won't have to hide. By late morning, the data transfer is complete. Brian ejects the flash drive and hands it to me, his face sympathetic. This is a lot, Dan. Are you sure you're okay? I force a stiff nod. I'll manage. I have to manage. I thank him sincerely, and he clasps my shoulder. You know, he says carefully, if you need other help, legal or whatever, you have friends. I know. Thanks. My throat is tight. Without another word, I depart. The flash drive clutched in my palm like a talisman. On the way home, I stop at a print shop far across town to fulfill the next part of my plan. Using a self-serve machine, I plug in the flash drive and print hard copies of select messages and emails, those showing crystal clear evidence of the affair. I watch the printer spit out page after page of my wife's infidelity in black and white. Each sheet feels like a betrayal made tangible, but they also feel like power leverage for the coming battle. One message from Mark on her phone reads, "Using department funds for our research trip was genius. Paris was unforgettable. Love you." My eyes widen. Department funds. They expensed a romantic rendezvous as a research trip. That's not only immoral, it's potentially fraudulent. A spark of outrage flares in me. This evidence might not only ruin them personally, it could jeopardize their careers. I add that printout to my growing folder of evidence and scrawl a note on a sticky, Paris trip misuse of uni funds. By early afternoon, I return home. I double-check that Emily's phone is back in the kitchen drawer where she usually leaves it, still plugged into the charger. Everything appears undisturbed. If I'm lucky, she'll never realize her private communications have been copied. To cover my tracks further, I wipe any sign of the data transfers on her devices. Brian assured me the extraction would be discreet, but I'm not taking chances. I also stash the flash drive in a secure spot, inside an old hardcover book on my office shelf that only I ever touch. The printed pages and a backup USB I made at the shop go under a false bottom in my locking desk drawer. By the time Emily returns that evening, our home looks exactly as she left it, and I'm sitting at the dining table grading papers as if it were any other day. That night, lying in bed beside my wife, I feel a grim calm. In the dim light, I study the curve of her face and wonder if she has any inkling that the ground beneath her feet has shifted. She murmurs a good night and drifts to sleep. I stare at the ceiling, mind racing through what I've gathered. Digital evidence check. But I know digital proof alone might not be enough in the battles to come. I'll need to think about finances, real-world observations, and corroborating witnesses next. Tomorrow I'll tackle those. Over the next few days, I quietly expand my evidence. By day, I fulfill my duties at work, teaching classes, attending meetings, all with a mask of normalcy. Whenever I run into Mark on campus, I force a cordial nod or even a friendly smile, all the while noting his demeanor. He seems a bit distracted, perhaps wary when he sees me. Does he suspect that I know? Unlikely. More likely he's nervous about others catching on to their affair. I catch him once in the corridor texting with a frown. He looks up with a start when I pass by. I give him a pleasant wave. The confusion on his face would be comical if I weren't seething inside. In the evenings, I interact with Emily as if everything is fine. I ask about her day, listen to her talk about minor faculty politics or a funny thing a student said. She volunteers little about Mark or her whereabouts beyond the basics. If anything, she seems slightly more attentive to me. Perhaps guilt is making her try harder at home. She brings me takeout from my favorite Thai place one night, unprompted, and curls up next to me on the couch, remarking that we haven't had a cozy night in ages. I drape an arm around her and smile, even as my skin crawls remembering those texts. Her attempts at normalcy only fuel my resolve. She clearly has no idea I'm onto her. Meanwhile, I shore up material proof of her affair's impact on our marital assets. One afternoon, I quietly visit our bank and request copies of our joint account statements for the past year. A routine financial review, I call it. The teller prints them without question. In my car, I pore over the statements. It doesn't take long to find patterns, a string of hotel charges in town, always on nights she claimed to be working late or at a conference. Pricey restaurant bills when I know I wasn't present, and even a lavish jewelry purchase last month from a boutique I've never heard of. I certainly never received any jewelry. Was that for him? The thought that she spent our money on gifts for Mark sends fresh anger surging through me. I mark each suspicious transaction with red ink in a notebook where I'm tracking everything. I also discreetly check our credit card statements online. Sure enough, a charge for a couple's spa resort 2 towns over. On a weekend, I visited my parents while Emily said she needed to catch up on grading. An airline purchase for 2 tickets to Chicago in August, aligning perfectly with that symposium. Each discovery is like salt in a wound, but it also strengthens my hand. Every dollar of marital funds she wasted on her affair is something I can potentially claim as financial misconduct in divorce proceedings. At home, when Emily is in the shower or asleep, I snoop for any physical evidence. It feels strange to creep around my own house like a thief, but I'm thorough. In her home office desk, I find a sticky note hidden under her keyboard with a phone number I don't recognize and the initials MR, likely a burner number for Mark. I photograph it with my phone. In her closet, tucked in the back of a high shelf, I discover a small shoebox that wasn't there a few months ago. Inside, beneath some old scarves, are letters and cards. My heart hammers as I slide them out. They're from Mark. I recognize his bold cursive. Most are innocuous at first glance. A generic birthday card, a congratulations card when she received a grant, but the handwritten messages inside leave no doubt. In one dated last year, he writes how proud he is of her achievements, signing off with, "All my love, M." Another, more recent, is a short note on departmental letterhead of all things, stating, "I can't wait to build more memories with you, M." The audacity of using university stationery for a love note might have been laughable if I weren't furious. I photograph each letter and return everything exactly as I found it, careful not to leave a trace. By the end of the week, I've compiled a damning dossier. digital communications, financial records, and physical tokens of her affair. Each piece alone might be explainable or downplayed, but together they form an ironclad narrative of deceit. And I'm not done yet. The following week, armed with my trove of evidence, I take the next step, consulting a divorce attorney who can turn my private discoveries into a weapon. I choose Martin Hayes, a renowned family law attorney known for his ruthlessness. He comes highly recommended as someone who's seen every dirty trick in the book and knows how to counter them. If I'm going to execute a legal ambush, I want him in my corner. On a crisp Monday morning, I slip into Martin's downtown office, a sleek high-rise with tinted glass. I feel a surreal detachment as I ride the elevator. It's like watching someone else's life. But when I step into the firm's plush conference room and Martin shakes my hand, reality crystallizes. This is my life now, preparing to legally dismantle the marriage that, until recently, I cherished. After brief pleasantries, I open the thick binder of evidence on the polished table between us. Martin adjusts his glasses and flips through the pages methodically. His face reveals little, but I catch the slight raise of an eyebrow when he sees a particularly incriminating photo of Emily and Mark leaving a hotel. "You've been thorough, Mr. Foster," he says at last, tapping the binder. "Text messages, financial records, letters, quite a collection." There's a note of respect in his voice. "I wasn't about to come in here with just suspicions," I reply quietly. Seeing my painful homework laid out in front of a stranger twists my stomach, but I swallow the discomfort. I want to make sure there are no surprises, at least not for me. Martin nods approvingly. "Understandable. Let's talk strategy. Given the evidence of your wife's adultery, we have a strong position." He interlaces his fingers, leaning forward. "First, what are your main objectives?" I clench my hands to stop a slight tremor. "I want a divorce on terms favorable to me. I don't want to pay her a cent more than necessary. Ideally, she gets nothing beyond what the law requires. I want to keep our home and—" I pause, taking a breath. The next words feel heavy, but just. "And I want them both to face consequences, legal and otherwise." Martin's eyes flash with understanding. "We can certainly address the financial side. Our state allows fault-based considerations. Adultery can be cited as a reason to bar alimony." "Were you the primary earner?" I shake my head. "We earn roughly the same. She's a professor. I have my income from the University Research Center. No kids, so custody isn't an issue." "All right. Alimony likely won't be on the table anyway if incomes are comparable. But if it were, her misconduct would give you an edge in contesting it." He makes a note on a legal pad. "Property division, however, is where her affair can play a role. We can argue marital waste, that she dissipated marital assets on the affair. You mentioned you found evidence of spending." A grim satisfaction warms me. I turn a few binder pages to the bank statements I marked. "Yes. Here, hotel bills, trips, gifts. She charged some of it to our joint accounts and cards. I've totaled roughly $8,000 in what could be affair-related expenses over the last year." Martin lets out a low whistle. "Well, well. In a divorce, I can argue those funds should be reimbursed or that you receive a larger share of assets to compensate. Judges don't look kindly on a spouse depleting assets behind the other's back." He flips to another section where I included the Paris trip email with Mark bragging about using department money. Martin arches an eyebrow. "This is outside the marriage scope, but very interesting. It suggests possible fraud or ethics violations." I nod. "I noticed. Keeping that in my back pocket for now. But it might be leverage, say, in dealing with her employer or his." Martin smiles thinly. You really have thought this through. He clears his throat. As for the divorce filing, we'll file under adultery as grounds. That puts her misconduct front and center. Some clients prefer no fault to keep it civil, but I suspect you're not interested in that. Amicable went out the window when she betrayed me, I say flatly. Fair enough. Filing on fault grounds means we'll need clear evidence, but you've provided that in spades. I'd normally caution how hard adultery is to prove, but here, he gestures at the binder. Texts where she says love you to the other man. Hotel receipts overlapping with nights you were told she was elsewhere. Photos. It's more than enough for a judge. A cold comfort, but comfort nonetheless. A bit of tension leaves my shoulders, hearing a professional validate the strength of my arsenal. Martin continues. A few preemptive steps. Asset protection. Any joint bank accounts or credit lines? Yes, several, I reply. I've already moved half the balance from our primary joint savings into an account under my name, just half my share, and I changed my direct deposit to my new personal account. I didn't want to tip her off by emptying anything completely, but I wasn't going to leave it all sitting there. He nods. Smart. Once we file and serve, an automatic injunction will prevent moving money. But what you've done is reasonable. You took only your half. We'll also freeze joint credit cards so she can't, say, max them out in retaliation. The thought of Emily reacting that way hadn't occurred to me. But I'm glad Martin is paranoid. Good idea. He scribbles a note. Next, living arrangements. You intend to stay in the house? Yes. It's actually my family home. My parents helped with the down payment. I want to keep it. I can buy out her share if needed. My voice is firm. The house means a lot to me, and the thought of her and Mark living in it after I'm gone is intolerable. Understood. We'll push for that. Often adultery itself doesn't decide who gets the house, but judges have discretion. If we show strong attachment on your part, and that she blew up the marriage, we have a narrative to tell. I picture explaining to a judge how Emily tainted our home by betraying me under its roof. It's a narrative I'm comfortable with. Martin asks a few more things. Retirement accounts. We'll likely each keep our own, similar size. Any hidden assets? None I'm aware of beyond what I found. He inquires if I think she might destroy evidence or lie under oath. I give a hard smile. She doesn't know I have any of this. I've been careful. When she's served, it'll be like a bolt of lightning. And I've already saved the key evidence elsewhere. She can't erase what I've got. Good. Element of surprise is crucial. Martin closes the binder and folds his hands. So here's the plan. We draft the divorce complaint citing adultery, including enough detail to put her on the back foot. We attach a few choice exhibits, not everything, just enough to show we're serious. Often, once a cheating spouse sees their misdeeds in black and white, they rush to settle on your terms to avoid more public exposure. I find myself almost smiling, imagining the look on Emily's face when she reads the filing. I'm counting on that. We'll ask for an unequal division of assets in your favor, given her waste of funds on the affair. We'll request you keep the house and your personal accounts. Also that she reimburse you for those expenditures and perhaps cover your legal fees. It's up to the court, but it's a strong negotiating position. Make her pay for it all, I say softly. I'd like that very much. Martin permits himself a small grin. I thought you might. Now timing. Do you want to serve her immediately, or is there a tactical reason to wait? I take a breath. Here's where my internal plan diverges from a straightforward ambush. I might wait just a little. There are personal loose ends I want to tie up. I choose my words carefully. I don't want to sound erratic. Truthfully, I have one more phase, a psychological one, before I drop the hammer. Martin gives me a sharp look. Be careful not to tip her off, Mr. Foster. You've done well keeping it secret. Waiting too long can backfire. If she suspects and files first or tries to hide assets. She won't, I say quickly, then moderate my tone. Trust me, she's completely in the dark. I've actually been extra supportive lately. The irony nearly makes me gag, but I continue. I just need a week or two to get everything in order. But it won't be long. He drums his fingers, considering. All right. We can have everything ready to go at a moment's notice. Might even work to your advantage to time the service for maximum impact. Say, right before a weekend or a big event in her work. Up to you. I recall that in 2 weeks, Emily is scheduled to present a major paper at a faculty symposium with many colleagues and Mark in attendance. Serving her right before that crosses my mind. A petty, vengeful thought, but very appealing. That flexibility helps, I acknowledge. Let's get the paperwork drafted. Also, what about the other man? Is there value in dragging him in? Martin's expression turns wry. Legally, he's not a party to your marriage dissolution. However, some states, ours included, still have torts like alienation of affection or criminal conversation, which let you sue the lover for damages. I nod. I'd researched this in many a sleepless night. I know. How viable is that, really? He steeples his fingers. They're still recognized here, though not common. You'd have to prove the affair and that it wrecked the marriage, which you can. Juries have awarded significant sums in egregious cases. At the very least, it's leverage. We could threaten it. Imagine him and your wife facing a very public civil trial where all this comes out. They might pay or concede elsewhere to avoid that. A dark satisfaction blooms in me. Keep it in our back pocket. I may or may not go through with suing him, but I certainly want him to sweat. And if it pressures them to settle the divorce on my terms, great. Noted, says Martin. We can even draft a letter to Mr. Raines, informing him we're considering such action. Sometimes that makes the lover push your spouse to agree quickly or behave, to avoid dragging it out. Good, I say. They should both feel the walls closing in. With that, we finalize our approach. Martin will prepare the petition and paperwork over the next couple days. I provide additional info he needs, account numbers, the deed, etc. Before I leave, he assures me that once I give the word, his office can have Emily served within hours. As I walk out of the firm, I feel armed in a new way. The law is now another tool at my disposal, forged and sharpened. The ambush is primed. In a neat stack of papers soon to be filed at the courthouse, our marriage will be effectively blown apart. Emily won't see it coming until it's too late. But as much as I ache to unleash it immediately, I hold back. There's one more stage I need to execute, a more personal, psychological game that will cement my victory and perhaps satisfy the part of me that needs to see her squirm before the end. The legal trap is set and waiting. Now I will lay the emotional trap. Before heading home, I take one more precaution. I log into our joint cloud storage account, a drive we use for household documents. Quietly, I upload scans of all the evidence and even a draft of the divorce petition Martin emailed me to a secure private folder. It's an extra backup. I alone hold the keys to this kingdom of evidence until I choose to unlock it. Emily cannot know what I have, nor can she get her hands on it. That evening, I sit across from my wife at the dinner table, lit by the gentle glow of the pendant lamp. She chatters about a minor triumph in her day, a committee meeting that went well, a student who thanked her for help. I nod and smile at the right moments. The picture of a loving spouse, my mind, however, is on the manila envelope tucked in my briefcase by the front door. Inside are the divorce papers, ready to be filed and served whenever I decide. I catch myself studying Emily's face as she speaks. She seems so at ease, so certain of my affection. She has no clue that legally her world is poised to implode. Part of me wonders if I should feel guilty for what I'm about to do. But then I recall the nights I spent alone, the lies she told with that same serene face. Any flicker of pity is snuffed out by resolve. Not yet, I think silently, echoing my mantra. I'm not done with her yet. With the legal trap set but not yet sprung, I turn to more personal machinations. If Phase 3 was about laying groundwork in court, Phase 4 is about the mind and heart. I want Emily and Mark disoriented, racked with guilt and fear, utterly unprepared for what's coming. To achieve that, I must play the loving, wounded husband a little longer and lure them into a false sense of security. I choose a cool Wednesday evening for my first move. After dinner, as we wash dishes side by side, I clear my throat. Em, can we talk? I ask, letting a quiver into my voice. This is it. She looks up, concern flickering over her face. Of course. What's on your mind? I dry my hands, leaning on the counter as if gathering courage. In truth, my heart is pounding. Part nerves for the performance, part genuine pain that I can finally, partially, release. I've been feeling like something's off between us lately, I begin softly. You seem distant, and there are things I'm noticing. Emily's eyes widen slightly. Distant? I'm sorry, I haven't meant to be, she stammers, instantly defensive. I bite my lip and look down. It's probably nothing, but I keep wondering if there's someone else, Emily. I say it quietly, as if ashamed to even suggest it, and let my voice tremble at the end. Her face goes ashen. For a moment, I think she might faint. She sets down a plate with a clatter. Daniel, she whispers, why would you ask that? I rub a hand over my face as if in torment. I don't want to. God knows I don't. But I can't shake the feeling. You're my wife, I love you, but I'm not blind. If something's going on, I need to know. Emily's lip trembles. I see the war in her eyes, caught completely off guard. Finally, she chokes out, I made a mistake. Her knees buckle, and she grips the counter. Danny, I'm so sorry. She breaks into sobs. It's happening faster than I anticipated. I thought she might lie or deny, but perhaps guilt has been eroding her. Watching her crumble, I feel a surge of conflicting emotions. There's real pain, seeing the woman I once adored in agony. But there's also a cold sense of vindication. I step forward and catch her as she collapses, and we sink together onto the kitchen floor. Even knowing all I do, seeing her utterly broken in this moment twists at my heart. But I remind myself to stay in character. The wounded, betrayed husband, not the calculating avenger who has known the truth for weeks. My own eyes well up, an easy feat given the emotional weight of this moment. Oh God. Emily. I make my voice break on her name. She clings to me, sobbing into my shirt. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, she keens. It meant nothing. You have to believe me. It was a mistake. I never meant to hurt you. I hold her shaking form. My chest is heaving too, partly from acting, partly from genuine heartbreak. Through her sobs, she keeps repeating, sorry, mistake, didn't mean to. I stroke her hair, saying nothing yet, just letting her pour it out. The kitchen floor is hard and cold beneath us, but neither of us moves. After a long while, her sobs soften. I tilt her chin up gently. Who was it? I ask hoarsely, though I know every detail. How long? Emily squeezes her eyes shut. A colleague. Mark, she whispers. It's been a few months. It's over now, I swear it's over. I broke it off. This is a lie. She hadn't ended it as of yesterday. But I don't challenge it. Outwardly, I flinch as if wounded anew. Mark Rains? Your department chair? I ask, letting hurt and disbelief color my words. Yes, she whimpers. It never should have happened. I ended it a few days ago. I told him I can't do this anymore. That I love my husband. She grips my hands, eyes searching my face desperately. I love you, Daniel. Please. I'll do anything to fix this. I look away, as if struggling to process. In the silence, broken only by her sniffles, I imagine her feelings. Relief at confessing. Terror at my reaction. Hope that we might survive this. Good. Let her hope. After a long pause, I stand shakily and help her to her feet. I never thought you'd do this to us, I say. Voice raw, that much isn't acting. Was it something I did? Did I drive you? No, you did nothing wrong, Emily insists, grasping my hands. Her eyes are red, desperate. It was all my fault. My insecurity, my stupidity. You're a wonderful husband and I betrayed you. I have no excuse. Fresh tears roll down her cheeks. If I could take it back, I would. I was going through some midlife spiral or something. And Mark was there and I was weak. But it meant nothing compared to us. I ended it, she repeats, as if convincing herself. It's done. I nod slowly, as if trying to believe. If it's done, I murmur, do you truly want to save our marriage? Yes, she says fervently. I'll do anything. Counseling, whatever it takes. I can't lose you, Danny. I let out a shuddering breath. This is a lot. I'm honestly devastated, Em, but I allow a flicker of hesitant hope on my face. But I love you, and I don't want to throw away everything if there's a chance to repair it. She nods rapidly, tears of relief spilling. There is. I'll prove myself to you every day. I'll never speak to Mark again. I'll never lie again. Just please give me a chance to make it right. I appear to mull it over, then give a small, pained nod. Okay, I whisper. Emily gasps in relief and moves to hug me, but I hold up a hand gently. But there have to be conditions. I need to rebuild trust. Anything, she says immediately. Whatever you need. I guide her to the kitchen table and motion for her to sit. She does, anxiously wiping her eyes. From a drawer, I pull out a pad of paper and set it in front of her. I want you to write down everything, I say quietly. I need to know the full truth, no matter how painful. Dates, places, what happened. No more secrets. She stares at the blank page, then up at me. You want me to write it? I nod. Seeing it in black and white will help me process, and it'll be like a promise that nothing is hidden anymore. Please, Emily, I have to know exactly what I'm forgiving if we're going to try. She hesitates only a moment, then bows her head. Oh, okay. I place a pen in her trembling hand. She looks up at me, eyes overflowing with remorse. I keep my expression weary and sad. Satisfied, she begins to write with shaking pen strokes. While she writes, I busy myself making tea, something to occupy my hands and give her space. In reality, I'm watching her reflection in the dark window above the sink. She pauses often, shoulders quaking occasionally, as she commits her sins to paper. The kitchen is silent except for the scratch of pen and her occasional soft sobs. After perhaps 20 minutes, she sets the pen down atop two filled pages. Her hand hovers as if to hide them when I return to the table. I slide a steaming mug toward her and sit opposite, not reaching for the pages yet. "Do you want to read it now?" she asks in a small voice. I shake my head, sighing as if bone-tired. "Not tonight. I'm exhausted." I fold the pages and slip them into my pocket. "I'll read it when I'm ready. Thank you for being honest." The irony of thanking her nearly makes me ill, but I manage it. Emily nods, face etched with shame and hope. "Thank you for giving me a chance. I know I don't deserve it, but I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you." I reach across and squeeze her hand, mustering a faint, sad smile. "Let's get some rest, okay? We'll start fresh tomorrow. Maybe find a marriage counselor." She agrees readily. That night, she clings to me in bed, falling asleep with her head on my chest and arms around me, as if afraid I'll vanish. I stare at the ceiling for hours, not because I'm unsure or forgiving, but because the adrenaline of victory won't let me sleep. In one fell swoop, I got her confession, and even a written account of it, evidence in her own hand, should I need it. She believes we're reconciling. She has no idea that in my home office desk sits an envelope of divorce papers ready to obliterate her world. Over the next week, I carry out the rest of my psychological campaign with meticulous care. We even attend 2 sessions with a marriage counselor, an older gentleman with a gentle demeanor. In those sessions, I lay bare my pain, and she cries and apologizes, vowing to earn back my trust. The counselor gives us communication exercises and forgiveness techniques. I play along diligently, even managing tears at points as I speak of my hurt and hope. Emily appears guilt-ridden and grateful that I'm trying. She seems convinced we're healing. Little does she know, I requested copies of the counselor's notes afterward, under the guise of wanting to reflect, and now I have a professional record of her admitting to the affair and expressing remorse. At home, I implement an open device policy for transparency. Emily, eager to atone, agrees without hesitation. She hands me her phone and laptop each evening to review if I wish. Of course, I've already seen everything damning, but I act like it's to rebuild trust. I occasionally peruse innocuous texts or emails and nod, telling her thank you for being open. She even shows me when Mark attempts to contact her. In the first few days, he sends multiple messages. "Please talk to me. What happened?" And "I'm worried about you. Are you okay?" Emily blocks his number at my request and proudly tells me, "I haven't responded to any of Mark's messages." I nod, hiding my satisfaction. Mark is spooked and in the dark, exactly as I want. I also engage in a bit of mind play. One evening, I come home seemingly distraught, eyes red. When Emily asks what's wrong, I mumble that I ran into a mutual colleague and had to lie about why we weren't at a recent faculty dinner. "I just hated lying about us," I say, voice breaking. She immediately hugs me and assures me that soon we won't have to hide anything, that someday this will be far behind us. I let her comfort me, masking the cold triumph I feel. Meanwhile, I ensure Mark feels uneasy. Using a burner phone, I send him a single anonymous text. "I know what you've done." I don't specify who I am or follow up. Let him wonder if it's me or his wife or someone else entirely. The next time I see Mark in the hallway, he looks haggard, dark circles under his eyes. We pass each other, and I give a neutral nod. He opens his mouth as if to speak, but I walk on. I can almost sense the panic roiling inside him. Good. At home, I subtly reinforce Emily's isolation. I suggest we both take a break from social engagements to focus on us. She readily agrees. When her sister calls wanting to visit, Emily hesitates. She's always confided in her sister. But I gently say, maybe hold off telling anyone about this until we're on more solid ground. It could complicate things. Emily quickly concurs, likely relieved not to face her family's judgment. Thus she remains marooned on an island of our making, where I control the narrative and she won't seek outside counsel. Through all these feints and manipulations, I maintain the facade of a husband cautiously learning to trust again. I bring her morning coffee with a sad smile. I thank her when she shares her feelings in counseling. I even initiate intimacy once, a calculated move to both appease and confuse her, and perhaps to take back some sense of ownership. It's awkward and bittersweet, and afterward I hold her as she cries quietly, apologizing yet again. I stroke her hair and whisper that we'll get through this, even as internally I recoil and count down the days. To anyone observing, we might look like a couple navigating rough waters, but slowly finding the shore. Emily certainly believes that. She likely thinks the worst is over. She confessed, I forgave. She ended things with Mark. And we're rebuilding. Perhaps she's even begun to feel a glimmer of peace for the first time in months. That illusion won't last much longer. I decide to strike the final blow on a Friday morning, 2 weeks to the day since I confronted her. The timing isn't coincidental. Tomorrow is the faculty symposium where Emily is due to present her research to dozens of colleagues and the dean. Mark will be there too. By the time I'm done, their pristine academic reputations will be in tatters. That morning, I pay a visit to Martin's office to sign the finalized divorce petition, a fault-based filing with adultery detailed in stark terms. It demands the house, a larger share of assets, and even reimbursement of funds Emily spent on her affair. I instruct Martin to have her served at her campus office by lunchtime, timing the ambush for maximum impact. I also set the stage for their public disgrace. Before leaving downtown, I anonymously mail a packet of evidence to the dean of faculty, alerting him to a possible code of conduct violation between Emily and her department chair. And from a throwaway email account, I send Mark's wife a concise message explaining her husband's infidelity, complete with a few choice screenshots. Let the wrecking ball swing. They have no one to blame but themselves. By noon, I sit in my office barely pretending to work, my phone on my desk. Right on schedule, I get a text from an unknown number. Confirmation from the process server. Papers served to Emily Foster at 12:05 p.m. I picture it. Emily in her office, perhaps prepping her symposium slides, when a professional-looking courier knocks. She probably assumed it was something routine. Then being handed an envelope and reading the first lines. Complaint for divorce on the ground of adultery. Her name as defendant, my name as plaintiff. The blood draining from her face as she flips pages and sees the attached evidence. Each page a new shock. And worst of all, realizing that the last 2 weeks have been an elaborate charade. My office is across campus from hers, but I don't stay put. I step out and head towards her building, driven by a mix of morbid curiosity and calculated intent. I don't plan to confront her face to face yet, not until she's had time to fully absorb the hit. But I want to observe the fallout from a slight distance. As I quietly linger near her building, I witness a sight I'll never forget. Emily emerges into the hallway, face chalk white and eyes wild, the divorce papers clutched in her hand. Her steps are unsteady. A passing colleague stops to ask gently if she's all right. In her panic, the papers slip from her grasp, scattering across the floor. As she frantically crouches to snatch them up, a bold header catches the colleague's eye. words like adultery and divorce. The colleague's shocked, pitying expression says it all. The secret is out. Emily makes a strangled apology and flees down the corridor in tears, clutching the papers to her chest. In her wake, hushed whispers ripple through the halls. I retreat around a corner before she could see me. A secretary and that colleague are exchanging stunned glances. Though I can't hear their words, I know what comes next. Did you see that? She's being divorced. Something about an affair. The academic grapevine will ensure that by day's end, everyone knows Dr. Foster has been publicly served for cheating on her husband. I stroll back to my car, adrenaline singing in my veins. I think of Emily racing home in humiliation, possibly trying to call me. In fact, my phone begins buzzing now, her number. I watch it vibrating on my car's console and let it go to voicemail. Not yet. She can sit with this a while. There's another call. I do answer, Mark's wife. She must have read my email. She speaks in a controlled, trembling voice, thanking me for telling her and asking if we could meet soon. I express sympathy and agree to speak whenever she wants. When I hang up, I allow myself a tight smile. Mark is going to return home today to find his wife packing his belongings, or worse. Financial ruin for him is now not just a threat, but a likely reality. She will undoubtedly take him to court and carve out her share of their assets. Good. That evening, I finally go home. I find Emily curled up on the living room couch clutching a throw pillow, her eyes red and vacant. The moment I walk in, she leaps up, shaking. "Daniel, please, please, you have to hear me out," she cries, voice raw. I set down my briefcase slowly. "I think I've heard enough," I reply coldly. She stops short, blinking. My tone, so different from the gentle one I've used for weeks, seems to hit her like a slap. You planned all this?" she whispers. Her gaze falls to the divorce papers on the coffee table, then back to me. Realization dawns across her face. "These weeks, you were pretending to forgive me." I feel an eerie calm as I step fully into the role I've been waiting to play. My true self, no masks. "Did you think a few tears and apologies would erase what you did?" I ask quietly. Each word is laced with venom. Her eyes search mine, pleading. I hoped we could fix this," she whimpers. "Danny, I meant every word. I love you. I was going to spend my life making it up to you." I bark out a sharp laugh. "How fortunate for me," I snap. "But some betrayals are beyond fixing." She flinches as if struck. "I know I hurt you terribly, but this," her voice breaks, "this is cruel. I bared my soul to you, and you were planning to destroy me all along?" "Cruel?" My voice drops to an icy whisper. "You haven't seen cruel yet, Emily." She wavers. Then a flash of anger ignites through her tears. "You vindictive," she begins, but her voice falters. She seems to think better of insulting me now. I step forward. "Did you think I'd quietly divorce you and protect your precious reputation? Let you and Mark ride off into the sunset unscathed?" I shake my head slowly. "No, you chose this path. Consider today's humiliation an early installment of the price you'll pay." Fresh tears spill down her cheeks. "So everything, the counseling, the I love you, it was all a lie." I tilt my head, examining the broken woman in front of me. "Not all," I say. "My love was real once, and my pain was certainly real, but my forgiveness, that was a lie." At that, Emily covers her face with her hands and sobs into them. I let her cry for a moment, impassive. Finally, she looks up, and there's a flare of something like resolve in her swollen eyes. "You're right," she chokes out. I did this. But I swear I would have spent my life making amends if you'd let me. I guess that doesn't matter now. It doesn't, I confirm flatly. She straightens a bit, shoulders quivering. What are you going to do, Daniel? Take the house, ruin my career, drag my name through the mud? You've already started, obviously. I meet her gaze head on. All of the above, I say. Your lover's career is likely dead when the dean sees that package. Your own job may be on the line for misconduct. Your precious Mark's wife now knows everything. I suspect he'll be too busy dealing with his own divorce to give you much comfort. And financially, well, you saw the filing. I intend to leave you with as little as the law allows. Emily's face crumples with despair at each point I tick off. She opens her mouth to plead again, but I raise a hand to silence her. Save it. If you have something to say it through your attorney. From now on, that's our only contact. She begins to sob anew. How did it come to this? She wails softly. We were happy. I feel a final pang then, a deep sadness for what was lost. We were happy once, I agree quietly, and then you threw it away. This is simply the consequence. She steps toward me, trembling. Danny, if there's any part of you that still loves me, don't. I cut her off, stepping back. Don't say my name like that. That part of me died the day I found out about you two. She stops, a look of hollow defeat on her face. There's nothing left in her to fight with. I pull out my keys and toss one on the table, the key to the house. I'll be staying elsewhere tonight, probably for good. I suggest you start thinking about where you'll live next, because it sure as hell won't be here. My voice turns steely. This house was built on our marriage. You made it a lie. You can imagine I don't much feel like letting you keep living in it. Emily nods numbly, tears dripping from her chin. I'll go, she whispers. I can't be here anyway. Everything reminds me of... Her voice breaks. Without another word, I turn and head for the door. She gives a sudden, anguished cry. Daniel, please! It's almost a scream. I pause, hand on the doorknob, and glance back. She stands there, small and broken, arms wrapped around herself. Her eyes plead with me one last time. I'm so sorry, she whimpers. I know you'll never forgive me. I needed you to know that. I am so deeply sorry for what I did to you. For a moment, the sincerity in her voice softens the anger in me. But the moment passes. I nod curtly. I know, I say. And then I walk out, shutting the door behind me on her sobbing figure. Outside, the autumn air is crisp and still. From inside the house, I hear a muffled wail, a raw, primal grief that no doubt will echo in her empty heart for a long time. I close my eyes and take a deep breath. It's the sound of consequences. I get into my car and drive away. In the rearview mirror, the warm lights of my house recede. Inside, Emily is living a nightmare of her own making. Phase 4 was about psychological manipulation, drawing out her confession and securing her compliance. That phase is over. Phase 5, devastation, is now fully underway. As I merge onto the road, my phone lights up with a text from Martin. Dean's initiating investigation. Also, Raines's wife filed for divorce this afternoon. I allow myself a grim smile. The dominoes I set are falling perfectly. Mark will soon lose his marriage, possibly his position. Emily will face public and professional fallout. Then a brutal legal battle she's destined to lose. They will both be socially ostracized once the academic community gets wind of their scandal. In short, they'll experience ruin financial, social, and emotional, all as I planned. And me? I drive on through the twilight, alone. One might expect triumph or glee at this juncture. Perhaps I do feel a measure of grim satisfaction. But if I'm honest, I also feel an immense sadness. There's no joy in any of this, only justice. Emily was right about one thing. We were happy once, but she killed that happiness. And in doing so, she unleashed a version of me neither of us knew existed. I roll down the window and let the cool evening air wash over my face. It's strangely cleansing. In the distance, the campus bell tower chimes, signaling the hour, or perhaps tolling a requiem for my marriage. I gave my wife every opportunity to cherish the life we had. She gambled it away for a cheap affair. So I methodically took everything in return. In the end, I suppose I did love her, enough to want her to hurt as deeply as she hurt me. Tomorrow is a new day. The sun will rise on a world where I am free of her betrayal, where she must live with the consequences of it. I have no doubt I'll be the topic of whispers myself, the poor husband, or perhaps the ruthless one. Either way, I'll wear those labels with quiet dignity. I survived the worst pain of my life and emerged holding all the cards. As I head toward the hotel that will be my lodging tonight, I catch my reflection in the rearview mirror. I look tired, older than my years, but there's a hard satisfaction in my eyes. Phase 5 is in motion, and the final act of this tragedy is nearly complete. I won.